Hello again. My name is Mahom Goods. I am the coordinator and programmer for Calgary European Film Festival in 2021. This is the 10th anniversary of our festival that started in 2012 with 5 movies, and now we are screening 26 movies from 26 European countries. And Motherland is one of them from Lithuania, directed by Tomas Vengris, that we are doing the Q&A today. The movie is from 2019. And this is Lithuania entry to this year's festival. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a huge honor and pleasure.
Thank you. Okay, first I had a very general question about the location of filming of this movie, especially the first 1/3, that because the movie is happening in older time, 1992. I was curious to know that how did you manage to, especially for public locations like airport or terminal or streets, cars, how did you manage to film them, especially the first 1/3?
Yeah, it was very complicated, of course, with a limited budget to shoot that period in Vilnius. We were very lucky that the Vilnius airport was under construction at the time, so it was all closed off. So we were able to have a lot of free reign with the airport. So we used the Vilnius airport both for the Copenhagen airport, which would have, or whatever, the Western European airport, and then we were able to use the outside of it. And it was a combination of visual effects and decoration. We had to cover some things up. We were able to get some of our own extras, and then we did some visual effects to change the signs and to block out some of the new buildings that are there. But yeah, you have to be very clever with things like that. Finding locations where there's either a lot of trees so you can't see all of the modern grocery stores and all that behind, or block away the cars. Cars are the most difficult thing. So we shot all of the driving things at right after dawn. So 5, 6 in the morning on a weekend. And we brought in some of our own old cars to just sort of be very careful. But yeah, these days, it's a very difficult thing to recreate that time period.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that it's complicated. Yeah. You tell us more about the cinematography because especially for the main 2 characters, you're using so many close-ups. I can think of a reason why you did that, but I wanted to know that what is your opinion?
I'm sorry, why we used close-ups for the...
Yeah, especially for the main 2 characters.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the main concepts of behind the whole visual language was we wanted to really make it feel like the film is about this boy's relationship with his mother. That's kind of the heart of the film, and we really wanted to have the camera to be as subjective as possible. So we also use a lot of foreground elements. We wanted to really capture the way this boy is looking at the world. So I think that the way he reads glances and the way he sees, he's always paying attention to where his mother is looking and what his mother is doing, I think is part of this idea of this boy trying but not fully able to enter the visually the adult world that he's sort of blocked out of.
Oh, okay, I see. And now that you mentioned the relationship between the boy and his mother, actually, what kind of development did you expect the audience to experience about this interpersonal relationship between the boy and his mother from the beginning of the movie to the last scene, the beach scene? What kind of development were you trying to get?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that the film is about, in a sense, it's about a boy seeing his mother as a human being for the first time, not as a mother figure. the mother is someone who takes care of him, who provides, and clearly she stops being that, and he has to start seeing her as a human being with her own past and her own desires and her own sexuality and all of these sort of, I think it's a complicated characteristics for a 12, 13-year-old boy to see. And as far as the arc, as far as the transition, I think that it goes from, he's someone who doesn't have any agency in the whole film. He's passive. He can't really do much until the end. I mean, I think basically when the house, when he sees the house burned down, is when he steps into this different position, and in a way, she then sees him as a human being and not as this child. Mm-hmm. I think that's the transition by the end of the film.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay, and about the casting of the main two characters, the mother and her son. How did you do the casting? Because I think the boy, I don't know how old he was when you did the filming, but he did a great job. Was he from US or Lithuania at that point? And how did you do the casting?
The casting was definitely difficult for that main character, for the boy. I wanted someone who spoke English without an accent, who spoke Lithuanian with an American accent. So we were looking in the US. He's actually, interestingly enough, the first person that we came across, but it was years before we started shooting. So my producer told her, this casting director she works with a lot in Lithuania, that when we had first come up with the idea for the film and the script hadn't even been written, that, maybe in a couple of years, we're going to be making a film where we'll need an American boy. And that summer, the casting director was in the countryside here in Lithuania. And she saw this little boy. He's maybe 9 years old or 10 years old. And she filmed him and she sent it to me. And I was like, oh, he's interesting, but he's way too young. And again, the script hadn't even been written. So then the script is written, we get financing, we start the casting process. I was going through all of the major cities, the Lithuanian American communities in the major cities in the US, in New York, in LA, in Chicago. And we couldn't find, it was very hard. I mean, there's no professional actors, obviously, that would be a lot to expect, but at that age group, it's an age where most of the boys want to be playing basketball or football and not acting.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And then I found this old video that the casting director had sent me. And I was like, this boy looks so interesting. And of course, 2 years have gone by now. So I need to find this boy. And we got in touch. He lives in Manhattan, Kansas, this tiny little town in Kansas. It's a college town. And I Skyped with him, and suddenly he's the right age. He still has this interesting look to him. We would do these improvisations. He hadn't acted in anything before. He hadn't even been in a school play. And so I flew out we did these improvisations over Skype, and then I flew out to Kansas, and he was just amazing. So he was just so natural. Everything he did was natural. He didn't know how to act. So he would just understand the circumstances, and that's what he would do. And so, yeah, it was great. As far as Saveri, who plays his mother, that was, she's one of she's one of the few actresses in Lithuania that primarily does film. She acts a lot in Russia. She was in this German show, Babylon Berlin, which was quite big. And she's a fantastic actress, and she had a great rapport with the boy. I mean, her and the actor and the boy had like a very interesting dynamic naturally, and so
they did, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And did you do the filming during COVID, or was it done right before the COVID?
It was done before. Yeah, it was all. We shot it all before COVID, and it was released just before. So.
Okay. What about the screening? Was the screening also done before COVID?
The premiere was done just before. We had two screenings, or like two, I guess, the Lithuanian premiere and the first couple festivals were right before COVID, and then everything else was like this.
Okay.
Zoom Q&As.
Okay. Okay. And is the movie already screened in Lithuania?
Yes. Yeah. We did a theatrical release right at the same time that we did our festival premiere and then our local theatrical release. So it really was released in Lithuania just before COVID.
Okay. And is there resemblance between the boy Kovas, the coming of age experience, and the changes that the country is going through during that time? I think yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's why I chose that time period.
Okay.
Because to me, it's very much this country taking its first sort of wobbly, uncomfortable steps into independence and nationhood. And it's the same thing with this boy in this age of taking his first uncomfortable steps into adulthood and trying to see this new world and this new system. And to me, there was quite a parallel between the time period and his own experiences.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's very obvious in the movie, in my opinion. And just as a last question, why was the gum picked as a popular comedy from countries abroad?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Why was the gum picked?
So that's a personal experience for me, and I think anybody who was raised here and remembers that time period knows very well that Western goods right after the Soviet Union were very hard to come by, but everybody had already seen them. You could watch German television things. So this idea of this colorful chewing gum, Coca-Cola, all of these things were they were the most valuable currency, especially for children. And so this chewing gum is a symbol of the West and a symbol for freedom for the kids, because in the Soviet Union they had this one sort of Polish chewing gum that lost its flavor immediately, and it was gray. Mm-hmm. And so when the boy comes, he realizes that he has this currency, this value, and it sort of changes his interaction with his surroundings.
Okay, interesting. Thank you so much. I really appreciate accepting our invitation, and thank you so much for screening the movie in our festival. And hopefully one day we can meet in person. Never know.
I hope so too. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Take care.
Bye now.